Hello and welcome to another video. This will be another Boogie2988 reaction. This should be an interesting video. This one is called Twitter Thinks Boogie2988 Should Have Kids. So let's see what happens in this video.
Sub, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, Boogie2988 coming to show off against the power of the internet. And this is my rambling series, this is my vlogging series in which I talk about life, the universe, and things around me that are particularly interesting to me. And I wanted to say, you know what? This rambling video is staying up. I learned last week by the very popular response from you guys, you want these videos to come out more frequently. You want them on the...
I do. I like it when you... That's why it was you that I had to converse a lot with when I was trying to say that in that other reaction. I like when you do these rambling series because, you know, it's cool to see the topics that you talk about. Plus, when we do these types of videos, I'll have more to say rather than it's just a random vlog. Because I don't know much about hardware stores, that's why I didn't say much in that reaction. So, but yeah, anyways, let's continue.
Main channel, and you want them to stay here, so we're going to try that for a little while. Let's talk about life. First thing I wanted to talk about is this meme that involves me. Like, obviously, they've used my picture in the top right corner. And it says, weak men will tell you having kids is too hard. Strong men will tell you it's the best thing in the world. And I don't know, this is something I've gone back and forth about, and I wanted to talk about a little bit today. So let me start by saying, if you're a parent, I know it's the hardest job in the world, genuinely. And I believe it to be worth it, right? To create another person, to give them everything that you needed, to be that person that you needed when you were growing up, and provide them with a future and a life. I can't imagine how incredibly rewarding that must be. On the other hand, it is an incredibly difficult thing to do. 18 years of financial support, emotional support, mental support. I just visited with my friend, Kid Behind a Camera. I saw him raising his kids with his girlfriend, and the amount of effort they have to put into it, the amount of patience they had to find, wow, it's pretty difficult for sure. I don't think it's too hard, though. I mean, clearly, lots of people out there are doing it. Every ancestor I had successfully did it. So I know I could do it. My brother did it. My sister did it. I know I was capable of it. I don't think it was too hard. It was just a matter of preference for me. I mean, if you take a look, I'm not the only person that decided they didn't want kids. Birth rates are falling all across the world for various reasons. And I can't tell you those reasons because I'm not that smart, but I can tell you why I didn't want to have kids. The most obvious reason is I came from an abusive background, and my parents were abusive, and I just didn't know what a good parent is supposed to do. There was always the argument that I knew what a bad parent does and just don't do that. But if I'm being genuine, 100% genuine, I didn't know that I would be a good parent. I didn't think that I could be a perfect parent or anything close to it. In fact, I thought it was probably going to be a pretty bad one because the example that had been set for me was just so incredibly bad. I mean, I think anybody who follows me also knows that I'm extremely mentally ill, and I've definitely proven that in the public eye many times. And I don't know, should mentally ill people raise children? Is that a thing we should be doing? I think it's up to personal preference, really. I wouldn't tell someone who's suffering from mental illness not to have kids or not to raise the kids they have. The flip side of that coin is, I mean, you're giving birth to another human being, and you're passing on some of those mental traumas and mental issues onto that person, right? And then on top of that, they're going to go out into the world, and they're going to interact with other people. So the damage you are doing to that child...
Right, yeah, it's really up to Boogie if he ever wants to have kids or not. He has a girlfriend, so, I mean, it's a decision that him and Des will have to make if Boogie ever decide to have kids. So we'll say that much.
You aren't a good parent can also be passed on to his friends, his family, his children. I don't know, man, that's a lot of responsibility. I don't like putting pain into the world. I'd actually rather put happiness into the world, and I couldn't guarantee I had the skill set to do that. I should also mention that I was 400 pounds by the time I, dropped out of college. I don't know if there's a lot of great 400-pound dads out there, but I felt like I personally would not be one of them. I felt like I was already in a lot of physical pain. So being able to take care of a child, pick up a child, carry a child around, go out and play sports with the child, I didn't know I could do those things. And I felt like a child deserves those things. And if I wasn't able to provide them, then maybe it was probably not a great idea for me to have kids that I couldn't even play with or take care of because I was so fat and disabled. And one other reason that I was afraid to have kids was genetically, we don't have the best DNA. We've got cancer in the family. We've got Alzheimer's in the family. We got mental illness in the family. We got addiction in the family. The son of a pill addict and an alcoholic, that's me. My grandparents were mentally and physically abusive to their family members and their spouses, as well as my parents. And I do genuinely believe my grandfather was, just like my mom, undiagnosed borderline or undiagnosed bipolar. Could be one of those two. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I just felt like adding this back into the gene pool for the sake of having my own kids was probably not something I really wanted to do. But when you look back at this meme, it mentions that strong men will tell you that it's worth it. That's one of the best things you can possibly do. And having slept on my reaction to this for a full day, I think I've discovered what this meme is trying to get at. When I was in college, I had a lot of unprotected sex with no birth control involved whatsoever, and I got very lucky that we didn't accidentally have a kid. But there is probably a multiverse timeline where I did end up having that kid, and I ended up using that as an excuse to get my shit together, to lose the weight, to finish college, to get a degree, to become a stronger, better person. And children can definitely do that for you. They can kick your ass into gear. A lot of intelligent, educated people these days will tell you that they're waiting for the perfect time to have kids. But the problem is, in this world, there just is no perfect time to have kids. It's great if you want to get your finances figured out, your relationship figured out, and bring that child into a loving home. But if you're waiting for the perfect time, for you to be perfect, for your family to be perfect, your finances to be perfect, for the world to be perfect, I got bad news to you. There ain't nothing perfect about this world. You just gotta get it done. You just gotta let it happen. Not everybody knows this, but I have a brother and a sister, and both my brother and my sister chose to have kids. They had 2 kids each. And I'll be honest with you, are my nieces and nephews perfect people? No, far from it. And part of that, I think, is the lineage that they come from, the genetics that they come from. But you want to know something? I love my nieces and nephews. I genuinely do. I'm very lucky to have got to know them, to have them in my life, to have shared a little bit of time with them. I've always kept my distance because I've always been such a splendidly broken person, and I've just been nervous about, family. I've never been very good at family, but the times that I have spent with my nieces and nephews, the phone calls, the messages, the letters, the Christmases, I'm just so glad I did it. And I'm so glad that they are in the world. Going back to this meme, I don't think it's a weak thing to choose not to have children. I do think it is a matter of personal preference, and I think the world's got plenty of people in it. We're, 8 billion human beings, so I think we're going to be just fine if you make the personal choice not to have kids. And for some of you out there, with the pressures that are on you, the biological desires to have children, choosing not to have kids might be a pretty hard choice. But I do think the meme is correct, that it is the best thing in the world, and it's something that I'm kind of sad that I missed out on. It's one of the great challenges that life presents you, and most of us will rise to that challenge, and when you successfully do, I think it's probably the most rewarding thing there is. I hate to say it, but it wasn't until years of therapy had taken place that I stopped seeing my parents as the monsters my childhood self saw them as, and started to see them as the horribly flawed individual people that they were. They were given not much to work with. They were dealing with mental health issues. They were dealing with addiction. They were struggling in the same crazy, difficult world that we are all struggling in. And I genuinely think, looking back on it, they were probably just doing their best. And honestly, I like me. And if I'm the result of their best, then their best must not have been all that bad. I like being here. I'm glad that I was born. I'm glad that I've got to enjoy this life, both the pains and the awesomeness of it. And I bet Boogie Jr. would have liked to have been here too. maybe in the next life, kid. As always, thanks for watching. I love you very much. I will speak with you again soon.
Interesting. That was an interesting topic you talked about there, that's for sure. So that's really up to Boogie if we can have kids or not. I don't know if you can, but I'm just saying. But yeah, interesting topic that Boogie talked about here. So, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here. Stay tuned for the next one.